Okay, so you guys sent us a really interesting collection of articles
Yeah.
all about the JFK assassination.
Hmm.
And we're not going to retread the,
Right.
the common conspiracy theories and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
we're going to look at some more enigmatic figures and
Yeah.
some lesser known aspects of it.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. I mean, what makes this collection so compelling
yeah.
is that it really offers a glimpse into the world, like just outside of
Right.
that official narrative.
Yeah.
We've got, investigations into figures like the Babushka lady,
Yeah.
explorations of Lee Harvey Oswald's activities
Mm-hmm.
leading up to the assassination, and then even
Yeah.
a look at the controversial Roscoe White story.
Okay, let's start with the Babushka lady.
Okay.
I mean, this is this mysterious woman
Right.
seen in the Zapruder film.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's captivated researchers for decades.
Yeah.
And we have a few sources here that kind of examine her identity and potential role
Yeah.
in the events of November 22nd, 1963. Absolutely.
Just to kind of set the stage for those who might not be familiar.
Yeah.
The Babushka lady gets her name because she's wearing a headscarf in a lot of the photos.
Yeah, like a Russian grandmother type.
Yeah. And she was seen in several films and photos taken in Dealey Plaza that day.
Right.
And what's so intriguing is she appears to be filming the motorcade herself.
Exactly. And despite
Yeah.
numerous attempts to identify her,
Yeah.
no one has been able to definitively say who she is.
Yeah.
There was a woman named Beverly Oliver who came forward and claimed to be the Babushka lady.
Okay.
And one of the articles that you provided, Where Were You When the President Was Shot, Beverly, by Ian Griggs, really kind of digs into the evidence supporting and refuting Oliver's claims.
And that's what I thought was so fascinating about this article.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some pretty compelling arguments on both sides.
Like Griggs points out that Oliver's account of her location that day in Dealey Plaza aligns with where the Babushka lady is seen in the Zapruder film.
Yeah.
So that's pretty compelling.
Right.
Also, there's a physical resemblance, and the fact that Oliver didn't, seek fame or fortune from her claim for many years, that also kind of lends credence to her story.
Yeah, it's intriguing.
Yeah.
But Griggs also points out some pretty significant holes in her account.
Yeah.
The most glaring issue is that the film that Oliver claims to have shot that day has never surfaced.
Yeah.
And also, there are questions about whether the specific camera model she claims to have used was even commercially available in 1963.
Yeah.
So, like, those inconsistencies raise serious doubts about her story.
Yeah, so we're left with another unsolved JFK assassination mystery.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, what happened to that film, if it even existed at all, and whether the Babushka lady's true identity will ever be revealed.
I think it speaks to the fact that even decades after the assassination, there are still unanswered questions and gaps in our understanding of what really happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes you think about all the other potential witnesses who might have had crucial information, but for whatever reason never came forward, or their stories have been lost to history.
Exactly. It just underscores the complexity of this event and the limitations we face when trying to reconstruct the past.
Okay, so this next thread we're going to follow takes us to another location and a different kind of mystery. Lee Harvey Oswald's activities in Clinton, Louisiana, just a few months before the assassination.
Absolutely. And the article, New Evidence Regarding Oswald's Activities in Clinton, Louisiana, by William Holden, it attempts to connect Oswald to a network of segregationists and right-wing extremists. And what's so fascinating about this is it challenges the common perception of Oswald as this lone wolf. Suggesting that he may have been influenced or even manipulated by powerful figures with their own motives.
I mean, this article really kind of delves into this web of relationships surrounding Oswald during his time in Clinton. Like, one of the most prominent figures mentioned is Judge John R. Rarick, an alleged Ku Klux Klan leader known for advocating violence against civil rights activists. That's a disturbing connection, to say the least.
It is. And Holden meticulously details how Oswald might have crossed paths with Rarick through just a series of seemingly mundane interactions. So, for example, Oswald visited the barbershop of Edwin Lee Nagay, And McGahey suggested that he tried to register to vote to improve his chances of getting a job at the nearby East Louisiana State Hospital. Okay, so McGahey then allegedly directed Oswald to State Representative Reeves Morgan, who supposedly could help with that hospital job.
Right.
But what's key here is that both McGahey and Morgan had ties to Rarick.
Yeah.
Potentially placing Oswald within his sphere of influence.
It's incredible. Like, we have Oswald, the supposed communist, potentially interacting with a known segregationist and KKK leader.
Right.
Makes you really question everything we think we know.
Right.
About Oswald's motivations and the forces at play in the lead up to the assassination.
It does. And there's another figure who might have been involved.
Okay.
Henry Earl Palmer, the voter registrar in Clinton.
Right.
Known for his discriminatory practices against black voters.
Yeah.
It's possible that he saw Oswald in the voter registration line.
Yeah.
Potentially even with Rarick present.
Right.
We also have Richard Van Buskirk, a Clinton attorney with ties to this right-wing organization called the American Lobby.
Okay.
He may have even had a connection to Guy Bannister, a former FBI agent with alleged links to Oswald in New Orleans.
Wow. So the connections just keep getting more and more complex.
They do.
So what was Oswald really doing in Clinton?
Right.
Was he genuinely seeking employment, trying to register to vote? Or was there something more going on? Was he operating under someone's direction, entangled in this web of political intrigue?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
these sources offer some very interesting clues, but ultimately leave us with more questions than answers.
Right.
They highlight just how much we still don't know about Oswald's life and the forces that might have shaped his path.
Yeah. It's almost like we're peeling back layers of an onion, and with each layer we uncover more questions and complexities.
Right.
And speaking of layers, our next article introduces a concept that can help us understand these intricate connections.
Yeah.
Deep politics. Okay, I've heard that term before, but I could use a refresher.
Sure.
What exactly does deep politics mean?
Well, the article, Bringing It All Together, by Peter Dale Scott, really delves into this concept.
Okay.
And he argues that seemingly unrelated events and individuals can be connected in ways that challenge conventional explanations.
Okay.
Particularly when it comes to events like the JFK assassination.
Okay.
So it's about understanding the hidden dynamics of power and politics that might be operating beneath the surface.
Okay, that's a bit unsettling.
Yeah.
It suggests the events might be driven by hidden agendas that we're not even aware of. Do you think that's what happened with JFK?
It's certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
And Scott provides some compelling examples.
Like what?
Well, one is the way Oswald's records
Okay.
were handled by intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
Scott suggests that these records may have been manipulated or used selectively to target political opponents.
So you're saying that Oswald's past, his alleged communist leanings, might have been exploited by factions within the government to serve their own agendas?
That's one interpretation.
Wow.
And it raises some very troubling questions.
Yeah.
About, who might have benefited from Kennedy's assassination.
Right.
And whether there were forces at work that wanted to maintain a more aggressive stance against Cuba.
Wow.
Scott also points to the potential involvement of figures from military intelligence and right-wing extremist groups.
Okay.
He sees a convergence of interests and ideologies that might have aligned to create the conditions for Kennedy's demise.
It makes you wonder if there were connections that investigators never even explored, or if certain lines of inquiry were deliberately shut down.
That's the challenge with deep politics.
Yeah.
It's often difficult to prove.
Right.
And the evidence can be elusive or deliberately concealed. But it's a concept that encourages us to think critically about the motivations of those in power.
Yeah.
And to question whether there might be more to this story than what's presented on the surface.
Okay, so we've examined the mystery of the babushka lady.
Yeah.
We've explored the complexities of Oswald's time in Clinton, Louisiana. And now we've stepped into this world of deep politics.
Right.
But we're not done yet.
Yeah.
We have one more
fascinating
thread to explore.
Yeah.
The controversial Roscoe White story.
Right.
This one dives into a claim that's been debated for years.
Right.
That Dallas police officer Roscoe White was actually the Grassy Knoll assassin.
Right.
And just for folks who aren't familiar with the term, the Grassy Knoll refers to a small grassy hill in Dealey Plaza, located to the right and in front of President Kennedy's motorcade.
Right.
As it passed by, some witnesses believe that shots were fired from that location.
Yeah.
In addition to those fired from the Texas School Book Depository. Yeah.
Where Oswald was positioned.
Right.
So this is a whole other theory.
Yeah, and the article, A Few Words from an Amateur Sleuth, by David B. Perry, examines this claim.
Okay.
Specifically, focusing on the story presented by Roscoe White's son, Ricky Don White.
Okay.
So Ricky White claimed that his father confessed to being the assassin on his deathbed.
Okay.
And offered what he believed to be evidence to support his theory.
What kind of evidence did he present?
Well, Ricky White provided details about his father's alleged marksmanship skills, access to weapons, and potential connections to individuals suspected of being involved in the assassination.
Yeah.
He even shared a photograph of his father.
Wow.
He believes showed a resemblance to one of the unidentified figures seen in the vicinity of the Grassy Knoll.
That's a compelling story for sure.
Yeah.
But did Perry just take it at face value?
Not at all.
Okay.
Perry approached the story with healthy skepticism.
Carefully analyzing the evidence.
Okay.
And highlighting inconsistencies.
Good.
He pointed out that Ricky White's claims were often based on hearsay.
Yeah.
And lacked concrete documentation.
Okay.
For example, he investigated the alleged marksmanship skills, but found no official records or corroborating witnesses to support those claims.
So Perry is saying that the whole Roscoe White story is a fabrication.
He doesn't definitively say that.
Okay.
But he does suggest that the evidence linking White to the assassination is flimsy and possibly fabricated.
Yeah.
He also points out that the White story emerged decades after the assassination, a time when public interest in conspiracy theories was high. And he speculates that the story might have been an elaborate hoax designed to generate publicity or profit.
I mean, this article really highlights the challenges of separating fact from fiction.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to events like the JFK assassination.
Right. And I think that's one of the most valuable takeaways from Perry's work.
What's that?
Is that it serves as a reminder that we need to approach all claims with a critical eye.
Right.
We need to demand solid evidence and consider the motivations of those making the claims.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in a compelling story, but we have to be discerning and evaluate the information carefully. Now, what I thought was really interesting is that Perry's investigation uncovered potential connections between Roscoe White and Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right.
He reveals that both men served in the Marines around the same time.
Yeah.
And even traveled on the same ship to Japan in 1957.
Right.
Does he suggest that they were involved in something together?
He doesn't go that far.
Okay.
But he does highlight the possibility of a shared experience.
Okay.
Specifically, a potential connection to a covert CIA operation in Indonesia, known as Operation Tulungan.
Okay.
However, he ultimately concludes that the evidence linking White to the assassination is just too weak to draw any firm conclusions.
So we're left with yet another layer of mystery.
Yeah, another unanswered question in the JFK assassination saga.
Right. Was Roscoe White a key player
in
a conspiracy, as his son claimed? Or was his story a fabrication?
Right.
Designed to capitalize on the public's fascination with this tragic event.
Exactly.
A question that might never have a definitive answer.
That's the thing about the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
It's an event that continues to fascinate and intrigue precisely because so many questions remain unanswered.
Right.
It's a historical puzzle with missing pieces.
Yeah.
And every new piece of information that emerges seems to raise more questions than it answers.
Yeah, it's like we've been piecing together a puzzle, but some of the pieces are missing. And others might not even belong.
Right.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think what makes these deep dives so fascinating is that, we're not just rehashing the same old information.
Right.
We're exploring the spaces between the facts. Looking for hidden connections and trying to understand the nuances of this historical event.
So we've journeyed through the enigma of the babushka lady.
Yeah.
We've explored the complexities of Oswald's time in Clinton, Louisiana.
Right.
Grappled with the concept of deep politics, and navigated the twists and turns of the Roscoe White story.
Yeah.
What stands out to you from all of this?
I think one thing that strikes me is just the challenge of certainty.
Okay.
And each of these stories we're presented with, intriguing claims, tantalizing evidence, and compelling arguments.
Yeah.
But definitive answers remain elusive.
Right.
And I think that's a crucial lesson for anyone delving into historical events.
Yeah.
Especially ones as controversial as the JFK assassination. We have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
The past is often messy.
Right.
Contradictory.
Yeah.
And open to interpretation.
Right. It's a call for intellectual humility, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
To recognize that we may never have all the pieces of the puzzle, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And when I think about, those unanswered questions, I keep coming back to this idea of convergence. We have these seemingly disparate pieces of information, the babushka lady, Oswald and Clinton, Roscoe White.
Yeah.
What if we take a step back and look at these individual threads as part of a larger tapestry?
Right.
What might their convergence tell us about?
That's a great question.
The forces at play on that November day in 1963.
Yeah, it's like we're looking for patterns in a constellation of stars. We might not be able to connect every single dot.
Yeah.
But the patterns we do see can reveal a lot about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, that bigger picture can even shed light on, the hidden dynamics of power and politics that continue to shape our world today.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what else is out there.
Right.
Waiting to be discovered.
Yeah.
What other connections haven't been made? What other pieces of the puzzle are still missing?
That's the beauty of history.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn.
Yeah.
More to explore.
Right.
More to question.
Especially the JFK assassination.
Right, the JFK assassination in particular.
Yeah.
It has this enduring power to capture our imagination because, it represents a moment where the known world shifted.
Yeah.
And the sense of certainty we had about our leaders and institutions was shattered.
And that search for understanding, for truth, for some kind of resolution.
That's what keeps us coming back to it.
Yeah.
Even decades later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that the past is never truly past.
Right.
It continues to shape our present.
Yeah.
And influence our future.
Right.
Whether we realize it or not.
So as you continue your own explorations into the JFK assassination, keep those connections in mind.
Absolutely.
Consider how seemingly disparate pieces of information might fit together.
Yeah.
What patterns they might reveal and what those patterns might tell us about the forces that shape our world.
I think it's a great...
Keep digging, keep questioning, and keep exploring.
Yeah.
There's always more to discover.
And remember, the truth, whatever it may be, is out there.
Right.
Waiting to be uncovered.
Yeah.
But it often resides in the shadows.
Yeah.
Requiring us to look beyond the surface, to connect the dots, and to embrace the ambiguity.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it for this deep dive?
Into the mysteries of the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
Until next time, stay curious.